Okay. Hello everybody, it's Miss Burnett, and today we are going to be doing a ABAR read aloud, think aloud type thing for our activity for Out of Darkness by Ashley Hope Perez. I was right. And that basically, so ABAR means anti-bias, anti-racist, and this read aloud, think aloud type thing is a way for us to look into the book a little bit more, especially with this one and how it deals with racism and bias and all that kind of stuff. And the way that we're going to be looking at it is harm and healing. And so there is a lot of harm within this book, and I think it's quite obvious since we've all read it. And actually, before we go into the harm of this book, I think I should kind of just, go over that this should be taken very seriously. A lot of things happen in this book that the author has written to make the reader uncomfortable on purpose, because she wants you guys to understand what these characters are going through, and it worked. It's a very hard book to read, but I think it's a book that everyone should read and look into because you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. So yeah, I found a couple examples of harm in the book, and they're mainly racist harms towards the characters, but there is healing with the harm that we have. They're not very big, they're not very huge, but I don't think that should matter. I feel like even if it's still healing. That's all that matters. So the first one I've actually picked out is I'm reading from my online book, so the pages are a bit different. But mine is on page 135, and then I'm just going to start reading, and then after I read, I will go on of why I chose this and all that stuff. So let's start. Her face reddened. I try, but it doesn't really make sense to me. The teacher doesn't expect me to get it anyways. How do you figure? She dragged a stick through the shallows of the river. Teachers usually think Mexicans are too slow to bother with. Come on, anybody can learn anything. Maybe you and the twins, of course. They're smart. Everyone says so. Even people who think Mexicans are only good for shelling pecans and picking strawberries. Walsh whistled. Those two are quicker than the Holy Spirit on Judgment Day. She smiled at you, like you. I can only tell by how you look at the books and how you teach them things. He fingered at the edge of the book. I like doing things more. One of my uncles was a carpenter. I think that'd be good, spending my days with a hammer and a saw and a bit of sandpaper. His hands curled a little, remembering the feel of his tools. That doesn't fly with my folks, especially my dad. Education is the key to the advancement of the Negro, and be credit to your race. Wash said, deepening his voice so the words came out like items from the Ten Commandments. My ma's near's bad. Every move she makes is aimed at savaging up a penny for my sister and me to go to college. It must be nice to have them believe in you like that. Your teachers too. I guess, he said. I hadn't thought on that. Our teachers in San Antonio hated teaching us. Maybe hated us too. The Mexican kids, I mean. In high school, they gave us elementary school books like we were stupid. Everything was either about being a good citizen or about learning a trade. Nothing useful. We learned how to make mattresses, but there's not a single mattress factory in San Antonio. So what was the point of that? And you get your English wrong once, and you're on the teacher's bad side forever. Wash thought about that for a minute. Mexican students, white teachers. So that's the first. That's not one of the first bits of racism in this book, but it's one that I picked up on. And it's a bit more obvious, I think, and I say this because in this reading, you can tell that Naomi has a hard time in school only because the teachers don't really care, because she is Mexican, and they think that Mexicans are stupid, and all they're good for is, and to quote her, she says, Mexicans are only good for shelling peanuts and picking strawberries. So these white teachers think they're only good for hard labor and working with their hands. They don't think they can get a real job in the real world. That's what the harm is. And I wrote subtle racism towards Mexicans and their education. And I feel like that's a big one, especially even for kids in if you're reading this and you're in high school, you can pick up on that, and you can even maybe realize, you can think, me as a white cis woman, I have had a great education throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. I never had a hard time at all, and it helps because I am a white person. But that experience can be completely different for a Mexican person, for a Black person, and I think that shows within this little bit of harm in the story we have. And the healing is actually just right after this. It's like literally the next paragraph. So I'm gonna read that. What's your school like? She asked. 4 classrooms, an outhouse, and a patch of packed dirt out front. Not much to look at or learn from, but the teachers work hard. Some students do. I do what it takes to keep my paw off my back. You mind? Wash asked now, pointing to the spot on the rock beside her. She didn't say no, so he moved closer. We could take a look at your math together, or just keep talking. It's nice hearing you talk. Homework's good, he said, and that's how the lesson started. In this bit of healing, we see Wash offering to teach Naomi. Well, not like offering to teach, but offering to tutor her in things that she doesn't understand, because these teachers aren't gonna do it because they don't want to. They don't care. They don't care if she obtains this at all. So Wash is our little bit of healing in this little bit of reading, and I think that's really good. That's like usually a huge thing. Well, with Wash's character, he's always kind of there for Naomi and always helping her out and always being that bit of healing that she needs. And another one that I found was actually in the epilogue. Let me find it. It's on my hand keeps getting in the camera. I'm sorry, guys. But here it is, epilogue. So we are looking through this through Beto's eyes. And at this point, we are hoping that they have their kind of like their happy ending, but sadly from the epilogue we find out that did not happen. And I'm going to read a little bit of the epilogue, and I'll tell you what I got from it. He knew the story would not be easy to tell by the time he began and had been buried under the lime of a falsehood for a decade. The March 23rd, 1937 newspaper article from the San Antonio Express, which he carried in the inside pocket of his wallet, was proof of that. The piece was entitled, "Backwoods Bloodbath Shocks East Texas Town Already Shattered by School Blast." It informed the reader of the following facts. Just days after the tragic New London school explosion that claimed nearly 300 lives, a survivor of the blast, Naomi Smith, was abducted, beaten, and raped by a Negro youth by the names James Washington Fuller. When the girl's stepfather, Henry Smith, noticed her disappearance, he suspected foul play and set out to search for her in the woods near the Negro community of Egypttown, just outside of New London. He found her in the midst of the most terrible indignity a woman could suffer, and he struggled to rescue his stepdaughter from the clutches of the assailant. At some point, a gun was drawn, and an accidental discharge of the weapon killed both Naomi and Fuller. While there was no witnesses, police determined from evidence at the scene that Smith, crazed with grief and rage, then turned the gun on himself. Police have indicated that no further investigation will be conducted. Yeah, literally so sad. My heart breaks. Makes me like tear up a little bit, not gonna lie. I bet you guys feel the same way, but yeah, this is a huge bit of harm in the book, especially for it being the epilogue. And I feel like a lot of you guys might be used to happy endings and cutesy stories with epilogues, but not with this one. But I think what the author wanted, she wanted a bit of a realistic, a sad realistic ending to the book. And this is obviously harm because the newspaper article is spreading false information, especially with what has also come out with they're blaming the explosion on Wash whenever he literally didn't do it. And now they're blaming him again for, quoting, abducting, beating, and raping Naomi when that obviously isn't the case. And then both dying, and Henry as well, who is, we don't care about Henry. We're done with him. We're not talking about him anymore. But there is a bit of healing in this epilogue, I think, in my opinion. And it's at the end of the epilogue. I know it's already the end of it, but it's right at the very last paragraph. I'm gonna read it now. And so he worked, piecing together memories, imagining what he could have not have known, Writing at the ruins of his former life, he wrote until the story was there, outside him, terrible in its truth. He needs you, reader. All he asks is that you take the story up and carry it for a while. This strange song carried out of the darkness. And I say this is healing for the end of the book because Beto is giving us this information to the reader, you, me, us, to take this information and apply it to our lives now and take that story and obviously this is a fiction story, but this obviously probably has happened or it can happen in the real world, which is so sad and depressing. But the whole point of this, the healing of this, is for us as the readers to take this and apply it to our own lives and think of what could be happening to people, who aren't white. Because as a white person, I have so much privilege. I have so much privilege, it's insane. And other people of color don't. And I think that's the bit of healing we get at the end of the book it's our time to heal others through, people who have suffered harm, who are POCs, we can help heal them through things that, they don't even have to be big things, they can be little things. Like I said in the beginning, they don't have to be huge bits of healing to matter. They can be these smallest little things, like Wash, offering to tutor her. That is so small, but it's so perfect. That's what I'm saying. And that's all I have for you. I really do think this book was amazing. It was a really good read. It was very triggering at times to read, but that's what literature is sometimes. You have to kind of go out of your comfort zone and read stuff like this so you can kind of get out of your comfort zone and look at things through someone else's eyes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Peace out.